Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I've got just a couple of slides to kick us off before we get into Research Rabbit. So thank you for being here today. This is the second session in our series on AI tools for literature reviews. I'm Jenny Mills, the Medical Library Director, and today I'm going to talk to you about Research Rabbit. So we have selected, a handful of tools out of the many, many that are out there. And the last one we looked at was Cite because we have a subscription for it through the library. Research Rabbit is a free tool. And the reason that we selected it is because it has been gaining popularity among health science and medical students and faculty. And especially here at Belmont, many of our health science faculty um, use Research Rabbit and really like it. So we wanted to feature it in our series. Okay, so Research Rabbit is not your typical search engine. It is an AI tool, but you could also think of it as a discovery engine rather than just a typical search engine. The idea is that you would start with a seed article or two, or if you did a quick keyword search, you would find a couple of seed articles, and then your Research Rabbit will take those seeds and then find similar articles to those seeds. And then you can create visual citation maps of articles. So you can see how articles are connected to one another. You can see the references, the cited by, you can see how authors are connected to get a big visual overview of the research on a topic. So that is kind of cool, the visual aspect of it. It's free to use. You do have to create an account. There is a paid version, but you can do a lot with it with the free version. And I will say that just overnight, the entire interface was updated. So yesterday afternoon, I was trying to log in and I couldn't log in for some reason. And so I thought, well, I'll try it later. So last night, I still couldn't log in. And then this morning, when I checked it, I was able to log in and everything had changed. So I have spent a little time this morning trying to reacclimate myself. And I'm going to be able to show you some of the highlights, but there's still some things that I haven't figured out with the new interface. So hope you'll bear with me. Okay, so with any AI tool, my first question is, what is it searching? I want to know what's behind all of the what looks like magic on the front end. What is it actually searching behind? And so Research Rabbit is pulling from these three large data providers, Crossref, Semantic Scholar, and OpenAlex. So um, Crossref is anything that has a DOI, a digital object identifier. So lots of journal articles, but other things too, like conference papers and whatnot. Semantic Scholar and OpenAlex are very large, multidisciplinary sort of research catalogs that have like a global reach. Um, so you're going to find a lot of information in Research Rabbit, and a lot of AI tools are pulling from these providers, especially probably Semantic Scholar and OpenAlex. So a lot of information, um, but I do want to point out that um, comparing these providers with PubMed, there are a few differences to be aware of. So all the citations that you might find in PubMed Central, which is the open access module, if you will, of PubMed, you'll find in these three data providers and in Research Rabbit. But the Medline database that is part of PubMed is a little bit different. And that Medline database is where those highly selected journals are indexed. There's no guarantee that you're going to find all of those in these providers for a variety of reasons. You'll probably find the majority, but maybe not everything. And there also may be a bit of a delay for some newer articles. Okay, so let me go into my Research Rabbit account and show you a couple of things. Okay, so I'm logged in right now. I already have an account, and as I said, it's free to create an account. There is an upgrade version. So before we jump into searching, I want to show you my library. And so I have created a couple of collections on different topics in my library. And right here, I have this library, Med Student Use of AI, selected. And I made it orange by clicking on these little 3 buttons so that it kind of stands out. So I have already done some searching and already added 38 articles to this collection. And here is the visual map of those articles. So what you have on the y-axis are things up at the top left here that have the most citations are going to be at the top. And then over at the bottom of the x-axis, as you go over to the right, these are things that are more current. So that's how that works. You could also have this list view, and then you can scroll through and look at abstracts. And to be honest, I probably use this more than the visual, and that might just be a personal preference. And then there's one other list review that's just citation view. I'm going to click on one of these, and then you'll see that the article information opens up in the pane on the right. And this is similar to how the old Research Rabbit worked. And from here, you have the abstract. You have the ability to add notes, which is nice. And in this case, it found the PDF. So this article must be available as an open access article because it found the PDF for you. So you could click that and go right to the PDF. It will launch in a new tab for you. So there's the article that you could download then from that publisher. I'm going to close this and go back, and then I'm back. Okay. Okay. So from here, a couple of things I could do. I could look at one article. I'm just going to click it again, actually. And I could look at similar articles to this one down here at the bottom. Or I could look at the references for this article or the cited by. And in this case, there's only one. So I could do that for a single article. Or if I look through these 38 and there are ones that are particularly relevant, you could select those. We'll just do these 3. And it gives you a little preview on the right side of what you have selected. And then you could find related articles to those 3. So this is a way to iterate your search to possibly find even more relevant results than what you started with. So now you can see the map has changed. And the results are based on my 3 seed articles that I selected from the previous. And you can see they're designated here by these little plants. Those are the seeds. And then you can say this one, it shows you some of the articles that cited it. So there's the backwards arrows there. And then the other ones are related somehow. They were found using the algorithm. But if there's an arrow, then there's some sort of citation relation between the articles. So at this point, you could look through to find additional articles. You can either hover over to see the titles or look through the list here. And if there's ones that you like, you could select those and then continue from there. So let's say you wanted to select 2 more, and now I can save those to the library that I've already started and then continue from there. And let me just go ahead and click on, let's just click on one of these. Again, it opens it up on this pane on the right. I could grab the PDF. I could save this one to my collection, or I could look at the references or the cited by. This one has been cited quite a lot. So those ones that have lots of citations maybe are more important than some of the other ones, if that is something that you want to consider. Or you could look at articles similar to this one, and it will open yet another pane. So the panes keep opening up on the right side of the page, and then if you want to go back, you can use the arrow to go back to where you were previously. Okay. All right, so that is just a look at how it works. Let me go back to the main screen. So I started with a library I already had, but you can also search by title, DOI, or keywords. And so I'm just going to do a keyword search for something that I was asked about recently. So let's see here. We're going to do family medicine, longitudinal partnerships. And it is best just to use keywords rather than natural language or long questions. See what our little rabbit can find for us. Let's take it a second. We're all used to immediate results. That one wasn't too long, but some of them have taken a little longer than I'm used to. Okay, so now we have our results of this search in this list view. Again, if you wanted to change that, you could. I'm going to go back to the list view. We have a lot of results here because you're searching huge databases. Now, there are these search settings over here on the right. And so there are some filters, but you have to upgrade to the paid version to use those filters, which I was very disappointed to see that because it would be really nice to limit this by publication date. But you can see that I'm not able to do that with the free version. But even with the paid version, the filters are limited to additional keywords, publication date, and journal quality. So let's say you can limit to journals that are just in the first quartile or by H-index or something like that. You don't get all of those great search filters that you would in PubMed, like publication type, or there's so many filters in PubMed. So still pretty limited as far as the search filters go. So just a keyword search. There's no mesh headings or anything like that. So from here, you can start looking through results, and I'm going to check a couple that I like. Let's say we like these 3. And once again, it puts those 3 in the preview pane over on the right. And then I'm ready to iterate the search. And I have to take off the search settings because it's not going to let me do that. I put in that publication date, so let me get rid of that. And now I'm going to find related articles to the 3 that I selected. So hopefully the search improves every time you iterate based on the seed articles that you choose. I get fewer this time, and then I could continue looking at those, or hover over and look at it this way. And then if there are things you like here, you can continue to iterate the search, or you could save those items to an existing or a new collection and then go from there. Okay. Also, I'm going to click this little X and it gives me this option to finish the search. So rather than saving to collections everything that you find, I think, and this is something I still need to figure out, I think that it will keep up with the things that you check, the little check boxes next to the articles. I think it will keep up with it here. And so that you can keep on searching and iterating. And then when you're done, you can come and save to your collection just one time at the end. I think that's how that works. Okay. Go back. All right, so I did a keyword search. You could also put the title of an article in. So if you have a couple of seed articles already, that might be a good use of Research Rabbit. You can go from there. You could do the title or you could do the DOI. In the previous version, you could search by PubMed ID and you could enter multiple PubMed IDs. And I don't see that that's an option anymore, unfortunately, but it looks like you can start just with one seed article at a time, but then iterate from there. Okay. I'm gonna stop there for a second, see if there's any questions. Okay. Let me pull this back up for a second. And just talk about a little bit of the strengths and limitations of Research Rabbit. So it's free to use, so that's nice, although we saw that some of the search features are only available in the paid version. But the visualizations are very nice, especially to see connections between papers and authors, and that you don't have to do a lot of keyword searching. You can start with a couple of seed articles and then just let the Research Rabbit iterate from there. That's really nice because it's hard to come up with the right keywords sometimes. And also the Research Rabbit will get better the more that you iterate. It will learn what you like. So it's kind of like Spotify for search. And the more you use it, probably the better results that you'll get. Some limitations, that simplistic keyword search is nice, but that can be very limiting if you're trying to create a very sophisticated search. So the searches that I just did were very simple. So if you have a very sophisticated or detailed clinical question, you're not going to get as precise searching as you would in PubMed. So as I said, no advanced search features, no mesh headings in Research Rabbit. So it might be a good supplement to PubMed, or a place to get started, but maybe not for a more complex search. Also, as I mentioned, it may not include all Medline citations, even though the scope of both or all of those providers is very broad and multidisciplinary. It's not quite as focused as PubMed on biomedical journals. And I have done a couple of searches that gave me a whole lot of results and some pretty irrelevant results. And that may happen with any database. It will happen in Research Rabbit as well. One of the key drawbacks for me as a librarian is that the search is not reproducible. So I support a lot of researchers who are doing systematic reviews, and they need systematic searches that they can reproduce. And you cannot do that with Research Rabbit. So it's not appropriate for doing a systematic review, Although if you're just doing some background research to try to get started, then that might be an appropriate use for it. And then finally, the Belmont Library holdings are not integrated into Research Rabbit. So they do not allow that feature. Maybe that will be coming sometime in the future, but not yet. And so sometimes when you click on an article and it opens a new tab and you end up on a publisher page, you will hit a paywall. And so that can be a little bit frustrating sometimes. There's some workarounds to that. We recommend that you have a full text browser extension installed to help you find full text. And if you had that installed, it would make using Research Rabbit a lot easier. But it doesn't include in the tool itself Belmont Library Holdings. And then, I would use Research Rabbit as a supplemental tool, but PubMed is still going to be the gold standard for the most comprehensive biomedical research. It's still going to have the highest quality journals and offer the most precise searching for you. So we do have an AI guide on the library's website, and I'm adding information about Research Rabbit as sort of how to get started. So let me just show you where that is on the library's page. You go to Research Guides. Have a guide for artificial intelligence in medicine and healthcare. So that's where we put information about CITE, our last workshop, and then I'm adding information about Research Rabbit. And I had some information here that I started updating this morning because of the updated interface. So this is all new, but it's fairly limited so far. But I do have a little bit about how to get started. And this video, which goes over the new features, is very helpful. And then here is a little bit about what we covered about how to search, and then how to select seed papers and iterate your search, and how to save to a collection. So a couple of questions I still have about Research Rabbit is about sharing or collaborating. So in the previous version, you could make a collection public, and then you could share that URL with somebody. And I have not been able to find that feature so far in the new interface. So that's what something I'm looking for is how could you collaborate with somebody on a collection in Research Rabbit. And then also you can, you have the option to import references from a citation manager. So if you had things in EndNote or Zotero or other things, you can import from there. And I have not done that myself, so I want to explore that a little bit. So that could be helpful too. If you already have a whole collection of articles, put them into Research Rabbit and get that nice visual map to see how they're connected. I could see how that might be very helpful. So that's something else that I want to play around with, and then we'll hopefully add some more information to that guide as I learn a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to stop again and see if anybody has any questions. Well, if not, I hope this was helpful, something to explore and play around with. What I might recommend is that you start with an article or a topic that you are somewhat familiar with, where you might recognize some of the most important citations that came up, so you can sort of judge how well Research Rabbit is doing, or maybe do a search in Research Rabbit and a search in PubMed and compare the results. And that will help you to think about how you might use these two tools together. As always, if you need any help, please feel free to contact us. There's lots of ways to get help on our website. You can reach out to us directly, or of course, just stop by our offices. We are happy to answer any questions you might have. So thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Have a great one.